the world crying out for a schmoedown top 10 show. It's the schmoedown countdown with your hosts Cameron Haas and Caleb Boatman. Take it away.
Caleb, that was amazing. Our second episode, and we already have the best intro on YouTube, just like that.
Yeah.
So
we've already been given the award. We are the best.
We win. From here on out, it doesn't matter. Just this is all we need.
And nobody even needs to try.
This is the schmoedown countdown. If you guys don't know, this is like the top 10 show for the schmoedown. Each week we go through a different top 10 list. Last week we did top 10 championship matches. This time we're ranking our top 10 anarchy teams. And this is going to be a good one. Do you want to explain the rules to them?
Yeah, sure. So we take a topic this week. It's the anarchy teams, and I'll give my 10 through 6. Cameron will give his 10 through 6. Then we'll go 5 through 4, and Cameron will give his 5 through 4. Then we'll go 3 through 2, 3 through 2, and then we'll each give our number 1. Then we combine our lists at the end and see what we get.
Boom. Look at that. So as we saw last week, I went first with my 10 through 6 this time. I'm going to hand it over to you. And just before we start this, if anything in Caleb's 10 through 6 is in my top 5, it is a punt, which means we will talk about it later just because it is in a different section. But if it's in my 10 through 6, we talk about it.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's start off with your number 10.
Yeah, number 10, I've got more of a personal pick since it is my number 10. I've got Rachel Silvestrini and Devon Stewart.
Wow. Okay, this did not make my list, personally.
Okay. There is one reason and one reason only that this is on my top 10, and that is because of Rachel Silvestrini. She has been a guest on Schmoedown All Access and an episode that I've been on, so I've actually met this person. This is the first, Schmoedown competitor that I had ever met. So it was awesome. Super cool to hear her name, and see her name in the Anarchy announcements and hear that. I don't know how she is at trivia. She could be really great. There's probably a good chance the fact she got on that she's pretty great. I think Devon Stewart, I don't think he's that great of a player, but I don't know. I think she's going to be pretty good, and I think when she goes out in singles, which I assume she will, I think she's going to be a name that we're all going to be looking at.
Yeah, this is a wild card team too, because there's a few teams where you don't know about some of these players. Devon Stewart, kind of know what you're getting from him, but no matter what, this team's going to be entertaining, and I think that's a really cool. It's a really good number 10 pick. I really like that pick.
Yeah. So now my number 9. I've got kind of a dark horse here. This is one that I think a lot of people are sleeping on. This is Eric Zipper and Haley Fouch.
Wow. Okay. This also did not make my list.
Okay, this is interesting.
Yeah. You go for it here.
Yeah. All right. So Eric Zipper, I think, is a great member of the world's finest, and he's pretty good in IG. I think he's a really good player, and I think Haley Fouch, in that last match that Scream Queens played, she was just on fire. She was so good in that. Just like, wow. So I think these two together, I think, are going to be such a good team, and I think that people are kind of ignoring them because, they've only already been part of a team. They have never gone on their own, with the exception of Eric Zipper, went on his own, and IG and did fairly well. Couldn't quite catch up to the Crusher, but most people can. She's Rachel the Crusher Cushing. But yeah, I think this is a team that's gonna do pretty well.
Yeah, I like this. I actually really like this pick because, I think you said Haley Fouch had a great performance in her last Scream Queens match, and I think the one thing you could say about both these players, and it's not always true, but I think this is a sentiment among the fans, is that they're kind of the stronger of their kind of, I want to say, average teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're kind of the anchors of those teams, and nothing against Winston Marshall, but I think Eric Zipper probably is the anchor, the captain of World's Finest. So I think putting these two together, I think people are definitely sleeping on them, and it's a good pick. I like it.
Yeah. My number 8 is kind of weird because I've got my number 9 team beating the number 8 team in the round 1 bracket. Okay. My number 8 is Rylene Bateman. The thing is, I think Riley and Bateman are going to be a more entertaining team. I do think they're going to be a good team.
This is a punt.
Really?
This is a big punt. Yeah.
Whoa.
Wow.
Okay.
This is going to be a list. All right, what's your number 7? Oh my goodness.
I love this. We've had so many different picks so far.
Wow.
My number 7, I don't know if these guys made your list or not. It's the Wildberries.
They're not on my list.
Oh my gosh, this will be such a great list.
Wow.
We have completely different ones.
Wow.
There were only 16 options, and we're so different.
You've had 4 or 3 on your list that have not made my. Wow. Okay, you talk about the Wildberries because I love talking about the Wildberries. So you take this.
I mean, yeah, I love the Wildberries. I think, these are, they're one of the most entertaining teams in the league, but they do have skills to back it up. If you remember the last match they played, Elliot Dewberry was really good. I don't know if it was the last one they played, but Elliot Dewberry was really good with disaster movies. And Makuga, Makuga is an enigma in that it's basically flip a coin if he'll know a question. It's basically the same chance. It's impossible to know whether or not there's a chance that Makuga could just dominate and that he could just fall apart in the first round. So I think this is a very entertaining team, but I do think they have some skill to back it up. So I like this team quite a bit, and the fact that this is the only team that stayed together is pretty great.
Wow. I don't have the Wildberries on my list, but I do like them as a team. I think this might just come down to kind of what we were looking for in our list, and the Wildberries are such an if this was top 10 entertaining teams, I think this is a massive punt. But it's would you be able to, Caleb, pull up the first round matchups? Is that possible? I'm not able to do that.
I can get that up.
Perfect.
I've I made a bracket, I've got that on my desktop, so I'll just get my bracket up.
I was just trying to remember who the Wildberries play in the first round.
They play JT and Harris.
JT and Lon Harris. That's what I thought. Okay, yeah. But yeah, definitely, I like this pick, and this is going to be a good list. So let's head on to your number 6 now.
Oh yeah, my number 6. I've got I think anyone in my top 6 has a potential to win the whole tournament. I want to say that right off the bat.
I'm with you there.
Yeah. My top 6 is when I think any of these people could be champions, and I wouldn't be surprised. So my number 6 is one that you might have a lot higher. It's Breanne Chandler and Drew McWeeny.
That is my number 6.
Okay.
So there we go.
We finally get a commonality.
Oh my goodness. Took us 5 picks, but we're there.
Yeah.
So this is a team that's very interesting because this team just kind of it just kind of like happened, and everyone was like, it kind of caught me off guard a little bit, right? Because we were used to we were thinking Andrew Guy was going to be with Rachel, and then we were like, oh, now the shot, like, what does this mean for Drew? Like everything was up in the air, right? Clark was supposed to be with McQueenie. What's going to happen, right? And then Chandler's supposed to be with Devon Stewart, and this team came together, and I'm looking and I'm going, this is a team where I think, and I know this is talked a lot in the schmoedown, but it's so important, is that McQueenie is a player with very little strength, with very little weaknesses, right? And Breanne Chandler, I think, fills probably McQueenie's only weaknesses, which is this is a very dangerous team in my opinion.
Yeah, I think this is a very good team. I think really the reason it's not higher is because of Breanne's performance in the last team.
Yeah,
she was good. Don't get me wrong, but she wasn't like top quality. So I was a little weary about putting it a little higher. I think they are going to win the round 1 matchup, but I don't think they're going to go farther than that.
Yeah. Who did they face in the first round, sorry?
They face Whitney Seibold and that Hewitt movie geek.
Yeah, that's it. That'll be an interesting one because it's a lot of unknown factors coming into that match. But yeah. I really like this team, and I think they could. When you have Drew McQueenie on your team, I never count that team out.
Yeah.
He could be with Finstock, and I still wouldn't count him out.
Yeah.
So we're going to get through to my 10 through 6 here. My number 10, I assumed on your list, and that is Ethan Irwin and Sabina Graves.
Yeah, I couldn't put it there.
That's fair. I was really looking forward to this Irwin, Janine the Machine team up that we're not getting, unfortunately, and, things happen. But this team is very – because Ethan Irwin, of course, is going to be the anchor of this team, and I think that he's obviously – very strong player. But Sabina, I actually think that Sabina is a lot better than what people give her credit for. She had a really nice performance in the free-for-all, the second free-for-all, of course. And I just think she hasn't really had that moment to shine yet. And I think if she gets in this team tournament, I think a lot of people could potentially could potentially be having these guys, on their radar. And I think that this is a team you should definitely not sleep on.
Yeah. This is the one that almost made my top 10. I was between Silvestrini and Devon Stewart and Irwin and Graves, and I couldn't quite make the decision. So I just went with personal choice over, who I thought was a little more skilled. Because I think think for all the arguments you said were why they were almost my number 10. They would have, if I was doing this purely on skill, they probably would have been number 10. But I, let other factors come into it. But yeah, Ethan Irwin, he is still a big contender for Rookie of the Year. He's probably not the front runner as he was. That probably goes to Mark Kanapik, but still. And I think this could be a team that, completely does some upsets because, Sabina Graves could make up for some of the weaknesses that Ethan Irwin has, and this could be a dangerous team.
If Sabina can hit, a 5 points in the first round, Ethan's probably going to hit 7 or 8, right? That's just kind of – he's one of those players where it's like a given that he's going to hit 6 or 7 at least, right?
Yeah.
So I think that this is a team that could be very dangerous. And, if you mess up in the first round, you could be gone.
That's true.
I think that, I think they're definitely sleeping giants maybe, So we go to my number 9, which is a team I believe you do not have, and that is Whitney Seibold and Mark Hewitt.
Yeah, I couldn't make it.
And I almost – it's funny, even though they're my number 9, they almost didn't make my list as well. The reason I put them on there is just because this team, Hewitt is built up as he's the movie geek, right? And he just – to me, sometimes, you hear someone – I just have a feeling. And that doesn't really – I got nothing to back this up. I've never seen the guy play a trivia match. But I think that this team could do some damage. And Whitney Seibold, I'm not his biggest fan personally, but you cannot deny the knowledge that this guy has. And funny, the thing that seems to be Whitney's downfall at times is how much knowledge he has. As you can see in some of his matches that he's had with critically acclaimed, it's like sometimes he overthinks something, right? And that's just because he has so much knowledge in there. And I think that, separating from the beast is definitely a step down when you don't have the singles champion with you by your side. But maybe a change of pace is good for Whitney.
Yeah, my biggest problem with this team is I think these guys seem too similar. They both seem like they're probably into the same kind of more highbrow films. Yeah. More classy, older movies. And I think that's going to be their downfall here is that they aren't going to be able to branch out into bigger things. And I think I'm a big fan of Whitney Seibold. I love critically acclaimed both the team and the podcast. And I think Whitney Seibold is an undervalued player, but I do think he needs somebody with him who can do at least some things a little different. Bibiani is obviously great at stuff like classics, but he also has, cheesy movies and monster movies and stuff like that under his belt. So he can
that's
go
totally
in
fair.
Directions.
And that's probably the reason you just said is probably why they're not higher up and why they're probably not going to make the eventual list. But I just kind of want to give them a shout out because I think they could do some damage.
That's fair.
Yeah. So my number 8, this might be a punt. Alonzo Duralde and Matt Atchity.
I feel bad they couldn't make my list.
Oh no. Okay, it's fair. I mean, the one thing that could hurt this team is that they haven't played a lot recently, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing that could kind of hurt. Like Alonzo Duralde, he's had great performances, but it's been a hot minute since he has been in the schmoedown.
Yeah, when has he played?
The last time he played, I believe, was the first free for all.
Okay,
he had a really good performance. He used to play for What the Flick.
That's right.
His partner wasn't very good at all, so it kind of hurt him. But he always had strong performances, and I think he's been able to stay relevant in a league that he hasn't played in, which I think definitely speaks to his knowledge. Matt Atchity is someone Matt Atchity just seems like a fun guy, and I'd love to be his friend. He seems like that kind of guy. You just want to be his friend. Yeah. And I feel like this team could be a really fun team, and maybe they're not like the serious kind of team that like a Snyder and Draco would be, but this is definitely a fun team with a lot of knowledge. So it's an all-around base. I thought that's why they made my list.
Yeah. I mean, I've got this team winning their round one matchup. I just,
Right.
I don't know. There was just something about this team. I think it's part of the fact that Duralde hasn't played in forever that, I think
Yeah.
he's going to feel a little bit, you know,
Overwhelmed, maybe. Yeah.
yeah, overwhelmed, the lights. And that was the same reason why I kind of doubted Movie Geek Hewitt because he
Yeah.
had never played before. I think really the lights do get to you. We were just on I was just on an episode of Schmoedown All Access earlier with Matthew Cruz, which was super awesome
Yeah.
that he was there. And he was, talking about how he really felt like it was the lights, and it is so different to be there. Now, it's probably a little bit different when you're a fan coming in than when you're somebody in the industry, but I do think those lights do get to you the first time.
I think you have a point because not only are you making your debut, in the Schmoedown, like you're making your debut, but you're making your debut in a team tournament, a very big with high stakes. And, sometimes I think for some of these pairings that aren't friends outside of this, it's kind of a weird dynamic, right? Like, I don't know how well Whitney Seibold and the movie geek know each other, but like there might be that added pressure, right? Because you're playing for a teammate, and it might put some definitely put some pressure on that team. But we'll get to my number 7, and this is probably going to be a punt, and that is Mike Kalinowski and Chance Ellison.
That is a punt.
Yep. Okay. And my number 6 we talked about, which was Drew McQueenie and Breanne Chandler, which means we're going to get to your number 5 and your number 4.
Okay, so that means we have something in our top 5 that is different. We one thing that you don't have in my top 5 and one thing that I don't have in your top 5. So this is going to be interesting. So my number 5 is Snyder and Andreyko.
That is a punt.
Okay, that's fair. That is completely fair. Okay, my number 4, I think if I had to pick everything from my top 5, I think this is the one that you don't have. Bibiani and Matt Nost.
That is my number 5.
Oh, okay.
So we can talk about it. Yeah. I'll let you take this one away since you had him higher.
Yeah. We've got the current singles champ, and you've got a former team champ, 2 champs teaming up. I think this is a team that I think a few people are kind of sleeping on a little bit. I think this team is going to do a lot of damage. Oh, yes. I think Bibiani is such a great player, and I think Matt Nost is a really great support player. I think that's really why he and Roca are such a great team, because he's just very good at kind of picking up those weak spots. I think he's very good at kind of little random areas of knowledge that he has. And I think as far as – sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's funny because you talk about, Matt Nost being a good support player. And it's funny because you kind of think about Matt Nost has been around this league a long time, and he's always been a really great number 2 to John Roca, right? And I think that's kind of the same dynamic we're going to get here is that while guys like Mark Riley and Dan Merle, they're back now, but they have retired. Matt Nost has always been a constant in this league, and I don't think the lights don't phase Matt Nost anymore. And I think that with Bibiani by his side, Matt Nost fills a lot of the very few weaknesses that William Bibiani has. Sports movies is Matt Nost, he's great with that, right? And it's something that Bibiani definitely likes to spin away from. And I think that this team's gonna be fun because you have the former 4 Horsemen member, kind of that's gonna be in there. But also, I want to see Matt Nost go far. This would be so cool. Yeah, I love this pairing.
Yeah, I think this is going to be great. And, one thing about these legendary teams is that they typically kind of have a lot of time, not all the time, but sometimes they have one, super huge player that's, so great. And then one player that some people will call the weak link, but is still a solid player. I think Above the Line kind of had that with Sam Levine, Drew McQueenie, kind of. Drew McQueenie's a solid player, but some people refer to him as a little weaker than Sam Levine,
Right.
And you've got Top 10, obviously, and a few other teams. So I think this
Patriots even.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's debatable which one was the weak link.
There always seemed to be one guy that would step up, but that's a different podcast for a different day.
Yeah. But I think Bibiani knows they're going to be a good team. So now you're 4.
Yes, my number 5, of course, was Bibiani Nost. My number 4 is going to be a punt. JT and Lon Harris.
That is a punt.
Yeah. So we'll get to your 3 and your 2.
Okay. So I don't know what I don't. I have that you don't have.
You'll get it in a second.
Unless you don't have. Wait, what? Number 3 is Kalinowski Ellison. That's a punt from earlier.
Yep. That was my 7.
Yeah. Okay. So we can talk about that now.
Right.
So yeah. Mike Kalinowski, Chance Ellison. Ellison. I'll admit I've never met him, and I've only watched like a few online trivia matches. But with the way everybody who knows him talks about him, it's just so impressive. You know?
Yeah.
He's a great player. I mean, I'm gonna jump in right quick, Haven here.
Yeah. What's up, Haven?
He's the underdog. What people say is right. A lot of these people that we know him, from playing against him or seeing him play. He's I think if what they say is true, I can see him having a bright future in the schmoedown, and I think him and Mike could be a dangerous sleeper team. Chance, he's a great buddy of mine. I love him to death, man, and I hope he does well, and I know he'll do well. But what people are saying, if he focuses and he doesn't, shy away from the stardom from all the other people, man, he could be a hell of a reckoning in the league.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you to our producer Haven Pendergast for jumping in there.
What a great point to jump in. I love that.
Yeah, that was good. It's kind of nice. It's like we have like a producer who kind of gives us notes. It
feels like a dad watching over us as we're playing with our toys a little bit. Like.
But yeah, Kalinowski Ellison. You see, I've got the team so high mainly because of Chance Ellison, because I think Chance Ellison, just from the few clips I've seen of him playing in the online trivia league and the way everybody talks about him, I think he's going to just be a dominant player. And when the singles tournament comes, I think he's going to place pretty high in the brackets.
That would be great.
Or what?
I like your idea about the singles tournament. The only reason I didn't have them higher is just because even though, he's been, great in the fan leagues, I don't want to be this guy, but it's just we're not sure yet, right? And I didn't want to get my hopes up too high. But of course, this team had to make my list, and I think this team's going to be higher up on the final list. But yeah, that's the only reason.
But the reason why I don't have them beating Roca and Merle is not because of Chance Ellison. It's because of Mike Kalinowski. I think the dude is solid in movies. I think he's solid, but he's not great in the movie league. I think he struggles a lot. I think, he's solid. Now, he might be studying. He might be working it back up there, but I think he's amazing in IG. I think he's an amazing IG player. But I think when it comes to the movie league, he struggles.
I see what you're saying, and he's had his roughest point, of course, was the Richard Cushing and JT match, and of course that one was bad. But I think if you look at the guy who he's lost to, he hasn't just been losing to these nobodies, right? And I think that he is actually a really underrated movie player, just because we haven't seen him play there in a while. The last time he played was Clark Wolf, and he took Clark Wolf to sudden death. And I think that Mike Kalinowski has always been singles, I think he's 500, but he's, had some big matches and stuff like that. Obviously, he went to the semifinals in the last singles tournament, which, you can't forget that, right? But I think he's a really good team player. Him and Adam Gertler was never really the best kind of player, except he had that one really good first round that one time. But Mike Kalinowski, in my opinion, is the perfect team player. Because Kalinowski, he doesn't get, pigeonholed into one thing. Like, of course, he knows his comic books and, his inner geek, but I think he does have deceptive knowledge in some areas. And I know some people, are a little down on Kalinowski in the movie division, but I think if you're looking at people in the schmoedown, nobody is working harder right now than Mike Kalinowski, right? And Kalinowski's kind of in there with the Andrew Guy, Ben Bateman, the kind of people you didn't think would be up there right now in their respective divisions, and I think it's just due time that Kalinowski is winning this tournament. I'd love to see that, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was your number 3.
So now it's my number 2.
Your 2 is probably my 3 then.
Wait, but you see, here's the thing. I thought you had something on my list that are something that's on my list that's not on your list, and I don't know what's going on because I've got Roca and Merle at number 2.
It's a punt.
Okay, you've got that there. I was worried you didn't have Roca and Merle.
So here's what happened. My number 3 is what I assume your number 1. Wait. Jeff Snyder and Mark Andreyko is my number 3.
That was my number 5.
Oh, right, because we punted. Okay, forgot about this. Right, so
I think we just got confused.
Yeah, because there was a punt from earlier that I think you're forgetting about. But yeah,
that's probably it.
That's what it is. Yeah. So this team is really solid. This is they're my number 3 just because Jeff Snyder, he's had a bit of a rough go. And there's no denying that. But the guy has just been so good for so long that I think that he'll get out of this rut. He's not done by far. And Mark Andreyko is on a hot streak. This close to being the singles champion. This close. And he kind of came out of nowhere. But, just held on to win that number contenders match. Almost beat William Bibiani. And, I think that performance is what's making me so excited about this team because I think that Andreyko and Snyder really complement each other.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't have them a little higher is because of what Snyder has done recently with Bibiani.
That's fair.
That is literally the only reason. Had Snyder just played like his normal self against Bibiani, I would have had this team up at number 3 at least. But just because of that, and it felt like that match left such a bad taste in my mouth because it felt like Snyder just gave up. He just kind of stopped even using strategy, just kind of did whatever. So,
if I'm being completely honest, this is my opinion, and it's not a theory, and it's not really considered a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy theory by any means. But my thing with Jeff Snyder, and I think that potentially, I think he was rattled. I think that he was rattled because of Sam Levine, and this is what I think, right? I think that in the singles division, at this point, he still thinks he's facing Sam Levine, right? Sam Levine's the guy that just, took the belt away from the Patriots, then retains again, and it's getting to this point where it's like the Patriots were up here, and then it seems like Sam Levine might have just kind of got over there, and I think that struck a nerve with Jeff Snyder, and it almost, I'm not saying that's what cost the match, but he just seemed so. He didn't seem into it, even from the beginning. Even from the beginning, he didn't seem into it. When it was 0-0, he didn't seem into it. And, I'm not going to – we've already gotten into whether he gave up or, whatever. But the moment that Andreyko's name was pulled out of that hat, you heard a squeal from Jeff Snyder. I think that lit something in him. And I think that a focused Snyder is a dangerous Snyder. And this is going to be a good team.
Fair.
So my number 2 is your punt from earlier. I believe your number 7. Mark Yodi Riley and Ben Bateman.
They were my number 8.
They were number 8. My bad. So I can't believe they were your 8. This is fascinating to me. This team, I'm not even joking, almost my number 1. They were almost my number 1 team, and this team is fascinating to me because they have everything I look for in a team. And, of course, we'll get to my number 1 in a minute. And this is kind of what put them above the rest, is that they have the knowledge, of course. 2-time champion Mark Yodi Riley, Ben Bateman, very knowledgeable player. But then they also have this interesting dynamic because the Horseman versus Action is kind of one of the hottest rivalries right now in the schmoedown. I think you could probably say the hottest rivalry in the schmoedown right now, right? Yeah. And I think this is going to be a great team, especially because they have Tom Dagnino as their manager, which just kind of elevated them above the rest. And no, this is a great team, and I cannot wait to see what they can do. I just want to get your take on why were they so far down your list?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Ben Bateman, he's a good player. Especially recently, I kind of felt like guys kind of eclipsed him a little bit. And I feel like really Team Action, they kind of need each other to really work. Now, maybe that's not the case for Andrew Guy. I think Andrew Guy can work we've seen him work well on his own. But I think as far as like Ben Bateman in singles, sure, he beat Scott Mance, but Hal Rudnick came close to doing that. So
although to be fair, Scott Mance played a much better game against Bateman than they did first.
That is fair.
Just to be fair.
Yeah, and I don't want to crap on Scott Mance because he is the best. Like
really?
La La Land.
That's good. Oh my god.
Yeah. Ben Bateman. I don't know. I just felt like there was a disconnect between this team because I also felt like Riley. I don't know. I feel like he just in the free for all he didn't play that well, and I don't know. I feel like, and now I will say,
although Bateman,
if Riley can beat Guy and play very well against Guy, I would definitely rethink his placement on the list.
And I'm with you there. That Riley free throw performance was a little disheartening. It was it kind of dropped him down a peg. But then I thought about it, right? And the free for all, I don't like to judge people's performances based off the free for all unless you have such a large body of work to kind of like look at, right? Like Bibiani, you cannot deny what he did in the free for all because he answered so many questions. Mark Riley had 5 questions. You could get the best at anything, right? If you give them 5 chances, maybe it's just not their day. Maybe it's not their question. Maybe it's not their round, So that's why I try not to look too much into the free-for-all, into his performance, because Mark Riley's the type of player, and he did this before, and I think he'll probably do it again, is that he was the first champion. People go, it was 2014. The league wasn't grown yet, and then he beats Roca. And people are like, oh, we didn't see that coming, right? And then, for a little bit, they were like, all right, don't sleep on Riley, right? And then Riley goes away, and now he's back, and people are doubting him again. And I think that's exactly where Mark Riley likes to be. And I think he's probably going to be able to beat Andrew Guy. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying that's what I want to happen. I'm just saying that's what I think will happen. And I think Mark Riley, his best work, even though he never was a champion here, he was always so great in the team division. Him and Clark Wolf were fantastic together. They were just never kind of got the goal. They did everything you could do except win the championship.
Fair, yeah. Part of the thing with Bateman and Riley is that, Riley, you see, I think in teams, once Wolves of Steel got going, they were good, but at the start, they kind of did have a rough start.
It was also a different time. Like, the format was different, so it's hard to look back on that, but you're completely right. Their start was not great.
So now it's my number 1?
Yeah, and that is...
Okay, my number 1 is a punt from earlier.
Yep.
It's the Evil Geniuses, JTE and Lon Harris.
I knew this was going to be your number 1.
I knew it was going to be.
Oh, yeah.
How did you guess that?
I saw your bracket.
Oh.
This is a great pick. I want you to talk about this because they were on my – yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so JTE is a player – that, he's like Liam Neeson. He has a very particular set of skills. And, I think he can do very well. And I think when he's on his own, he's not that great. But I think if he's got a teammate that can really push him, I think it can work. And I think Lon Harris is going to be a better teammate for JT than even Jeff Snyder was.
Wow.
I think they have different strengths enough. I think they know each other. They work at Screen Junkies, so they already have a good amount of chemistry. I think they are going to do so well together. This is a team that I just think will take the whole thing. I think they're going to destroy their division, and I think they are going to just barely beat the Horsemen. They're going to take the whole thing because this is a team. Lon Harris, he, despite not having the best record, he has a great, has had great performances. His match against Ethan Irwin, he played so well in that. It was just his last question that really, other than that, and he was winning. He was beating Ethan Irwin. Memory serves for most of that match. So Lon Harris is just such a undervalued player, and JTE is a player that has hits and misses. But I think Lon Harris is going to bring the best out of him. You know?
Yeah, I am not against this being your number one at all because we've said this to describe a lot of teams, but I don't think anybody complements each other more than JT and Lon Harris. I don't, just because JT's kind of got the sports, the Arnie and Sly. He's kind of got more the action adventure, right? Whereas Lon Harris kind of covers the classics. All these categories that JT would scoff at. Lon Harris is great. And the only reason they're not my number one is just because I think, and this might sound dumb, but my reasoning. I think if one thing goes wrong, if JT is getting classics, if Lon Harris is getting Arnie and Sly, they might be in a little bit of trouble.
That's fair.
And I think this is a team that is probably going to be leading most first and second rounds. This team, I think, is going to be fantastic in the second round. I could see them being amazing. And I think it's just going to come down to how do they do in that third round. And it's JT, experienced competitor, never counting JT out, right? Like,
yeah,
we talked about that singles run he had last year in the tournament, just making it to the finals. Fortunately, he came up against a smoking hot Sam Levine, right? And that's them's the breaks. But this is a great pick. This is gonna be a fun discussion. And my number one, of course, it's not. It's what everyone probably thinks it would be. It is, of course, Scott Manson, Sean Gerber. No, it's not. Movie release date.
Yeah, I'm gonna win.
I'm your number one. I can't.
That's more like Mario. I'm the number one.
I'm the number one. It's John Roca and Dan Murrell.
Yeah.
To me, it's like, if depending on who you think, this is like the members of the Mount Rushmore, right, of the schmoedown, and we've never really had a team like that before. Even your super teams like the Shire Wolves, I don't think you could really say when they formed that they were both on the Rushmore, right, of the schmoedown yet. This team coming in is crazy. If you're facing them, you are terrified. But there's also the other flip of the coin, because there's a lot of pressure on Dan Murrell, on John Roca. And we saw what happened to Dan Murrell when he faced that pressure last time against Andrew Guy, right?
Yeah.
But then we saw John Roca's match against Ben Bateman. The way he hung in there. He didn't have a great first round, but this team, I think they're going to be able to survive, and they're going to get through. And if Dan Murrell's on, I think game over.
Yeah, this is my number two, and it was almost my number one. I just, I couldn't quite decide who I had winning the tournament. So
no, I like that we have a different,
Yeah, I gave the edge to JT and Harris because I just think, that's a team that's going to do very well. But I also think that, the Founding Fathers, I believe their team name is going to be. I think.
Oh, wow. I like that, yeah.
Yeah. I think this is a team that there's a very good chance. It's like 49-51 between JT and Harris and Roca and Murrow. Like, it's going to be close no matter what, if it comes down to those two even. But if it does, I think it's going to be close. But I think Roca and Murrow are going to be, they're the team coming in with the most legendary status,
So is this correct that they would have to face, if both teams get through, Kalinowski and Ellison in the second round?
Yes, and I think that's where most people have them going out. And I see a lot of people. I don't have them going out there. I think they're going to edge it out. But I think that match is going to be close.
Yeah, I wish they would have been on the opposite sides. We could have seen that as a semifinal match, but
I think because Ellison is a new player, I think that's why they're not on opposite sides. Had Ellison been a newer player, I think they would have been. Yeah. And also the other reason I don't have them at number one is that I think sometimes these super teams, where you put two players together that are so great, they don't always work out. Wolves of Steel, at least at first, didn't quite make it. Then they kind of got their act together. But at the beginning, Wolves of Steel kind of struggled. Team champs with Dan Murrell and Mark Riley. That team, while going pretty far, didn't, go all the way. They weren't.
And another thing I will say is that this is probably a little off topic, but people refer to Above the Line as one of the first super teams. But I don't. Is it fair to call them a super team if at the time Sam Levine's record was 3-4 and McQueenie was like 2-2? You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I don't like when
people.
Team. Yeah, they just became a super team.
I think the reason they're referred to as a super team is because, Harloff is the reason they were paired together.
Right.
And I think that's really why they're referred to, but I don't consider them a super team. The only real teams I consider super teams are Team Champs, the Shire Wolves, and Wolves of Steel.
Yeah.
So any team with Mark Riley or Clark Wolf, really.
Exactly. So these are our lists. And these are very different lists. I think for this one, you're making the list, right? And then I'm doing the numbers.
Sure, we can do it like that.
Okay,
so I'll keep track of what we've got. So what do you got? So you've got Roca Merle number 1. What do you have as your number 2?
My number 2 is Riley Bateman. So they're not gonna be number 2 on the list. They're gonna be a little further down. Yeah.
So as far as number 1, what do we want to do? I've got JT and where do you have JT and Harris?
They're my 4. So
okay. I've got Roca Merle at 2. So let's do Roca Merle at number 1.
And then we're gonna have JT and Harris at number 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're writing down the list?
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. So since I got my number 1, you can pick the number 3.
Well, okay. So I think even though I've got Kalinowski Elson at number 3. I want Bibiani at Nost as my number 3. That's my number 4.
That's my 5, so I'm good with that.
Yeah. And then, then what do we want next?
So at 4, I'm good with 2 teams. I'm good with Kalinowski Ellison, or I'm good with Snyder and Draco.
All right, let's go Kalinowski Ellison and then Snyder and Draco.
Okay, that's good. And I think our number 6 is set in stone, right? Because it was both of our number 6s.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to keep it there, but we should.
I think we should, yeah, because it's our only constant the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is where it gets tricky.
Well, I think next we've got to put Riley Bateman.
Oh, right. Yes, of course. So I forgot that they were. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Riley Bateman have to go there.
If you wanted to move them up above McQueenie and Chandler, I would not be against that.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, thank you. For some reason I forgot that they were my number 2. I shouldn't forget about this, but
yeah, they're your number 2.
Okay, so they become 6. McQueenie's Chandler 7.
I feel like I've kind of have had a little bit more dominance over this list. So whatever you want is your number 8.
I would like number 8 to be Matt Atchity and Alonzo Duralde.
Okay, that's cool. That is a good one. That was one that I was prepared to let you have. So
my 10 and my 8, my 10 and my 9, I'm not like, oh, they need to be on here, right? Just because,
So
if you pick 9,
the only thing you have, your 9 and your 10 are the only things that you don't have on the list, right?
Yeah. What's your number 9?
Well, my number 9 is Eric Zipper and Haley Fouch, but I don't have my 7 on there, and my 7 is the Wild Berries.
Oh, let's put Wild Bears at number 9.
Yeah.
And then can I have number 10?
Yeah, sure.
Number 10, even though they were this is a kind of switched on my list a little bit, but number 10 can be Irwin and Graves. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Because I was like, it was either them or Seibold, but I feel more strongly. Yeah. It's not a word.
I'd prefer you to Seibold and Movie Geek. So
you want them to be at 10, or you want Irwin?
No, I prefer Irwin and Graves.
Perfect. Yeah, me too. Okay, good.
Yeah. I think we got a pretty good list.
All right. So I'm doing the numbers, right? And the drum roll, and then you're saying the team. All right.
Yeah. It's the top 10 Anarchy teams. Whatever. Yeah, Anarchy teams.
That was good. We spent so much time on the intro. We had no time to prepare for this.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. The intro was so awesome.
It was amazing. I loved it. At number 10.
Ethan Irwin and Samantha Graves?
Sabina.
Sabina Graves. I should learn their first names.
That's all right. Number 9.
We've got Josh McCouga and Elliot Dewberry, the Wildberries.
Wildberries. Number 8.
We've got Matt Atchity and Alonzo Dorade.
What a cool name he has.
Yeah.
Number 7.
Drew McWeeny and Brianne Chandelier.
I like how you make syllables 2 syllables.
Yeah.
I like that. Chandelier. Oh, what number? Number 6. Number 6.
Mark Riley and Ben the Boss Bateman.
What a team. At number 5.
Jeff Snyder and Morgan Draco.
Good team. This is a solid list. Number 4.
Mike the Killer Kalinowski versus Chance the Cobra Ellison. Not versus,
Cobra.
on the same team.
The Cobra. Yeah, I like that. Number 3.
Bibiani and Matt Nost.
Good team. And number 2.
JTE and Lon Harris.
And the number 1 team of the Anarchy Tournament is
Sean the Outlaw Roca and Dangerous Dan Murrell.
Wow. There you go. Boom. What a list. When you first said John, I thought you said Sean. I thought you were going to say Sean Gerber and Scott Mitchell.
Sean Gerber and Scott Mann.
That would be. What if we could have done an Anarchy podcast that we put our top 10 list and then we have to randomize it. and then explain why those were our top 10. I think actually that would be a great idea for our top 10 like after the tournament. We could do like top 10 rankings coming out of the tournament, and we could do that. I really like that.
Interesting idea. We'll
and
talk
then,
about that.
And then we'd have to. Yeah, I like this. Okay.
So yeah.
So that was our show. I think this one went a lot smoother. Would you say?
Yeah, I mean it definitely went a lot quicker. I feel like our thoughts are more concise. I think episode 2, it's going better because I think we're getting into the rhythm a little bit more. We're getting used to it. I think this is gonna be really good. Yeah.
So do you have the matches for next week?
Let me get them
because I believe we're getting Mark Riley versus
Mark Riley versus Andrew Guy. I don't know what the other one is.
Is it a team match? No, it wouldn't be.
No, it's not a team match.
No, it's a. What is the match?
I will get it up.
Yeah, sorry.
But as far as Mark Riley and Andrew Guy, possible
lists. I'm trying to think of what list we could do for next week.
Well, do we want to do this on the air, or do we want to? Oh, it says TV. Oh, it's probably going to be Roca and whoever wins that.
Oh, so Mark Riley is Tuesday's match.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Okay. So as far as possible suggestions, if you're watching right now, put some ideas for either something you want us to do this week or just any week in the comments below. We'd really love to read that.
And we know we're a smaller show, and we obviously a big shout out for being on Jack of All Trivia because it gets us a following that we didn't have before. And if we want to get guests on this show, so if you want to be a guest on the show, please let us know because we want everyone and all comers right on the show, and we're just trying to get into the rhythm with the 2 of us. But pretty soon we'll be getting 3-man lists, and that's going to be a great time.
So Cameron, why don't you tell the good people where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. Search my name, but more importantly, please, obviously, you're watching this on Jack of All Trivia. Support schmoedown All Access every Sunday. Caleb's on it. I'm not on too much because I work a lot of Sundays, but I'll try to be on it as much as possible. Of course, you're watching the schmoedown countdown here on Jack of All Trivia. Watch the movie matches. We have a team match coming up. Excuse me, not a TV match, but you can find wrestling, any inner geekdom, comic books. All the trivia matches that your heart desires on Jack of All Trivia, the best online trivia games that you'll find. Chance Ellison has been on the channel, and so Caleb, where can we find you, buddy?
Yeah, you can find me at Caleb Boatman on YouTube. I do schmoedown reactions there. I got upload some more of them because I haven't gotten around to that, but I should.
Right.
And then, yeah, you can also find me every Sunday, almost every Sunday on Schmoedown All Access. It's such a great show. Keep watching this after Schmoedown All Access usually is when we post it. About what time? It's kind of random, but that doesn't really matter. It's such a great show you need to keep watching. But yeah, what it is? No, this is a lot of fun.
I'm having this is a blast.
Yeah. And then, yeah, find our team, the Young Bucks, playing in trivia matches. I don't know when our match is going to be.
Second week of September, we're thinking.
I don't know, because Haven says he's got to take some time to edit it, so it's going to be in a while. But then, yeah, and then I play all the time in the Jack of All Trivia Leagues. I've got an Inner Geekdom match, my Inner Geekdom debut, coming up against Christopher Day on September 10th.
Oh, we're gonna wait. You're gonna wipe the floor then, okay?
I hope so. I'm studying a little bit because Inner Geekdom isn't like my #1 strength, but I'm not taking it lightly. But I'd really love to kind of show Christopher Day who's boss after
well
previous events we can't talk about yet.
So before we give anything else away, for Caleb Boatman, for our producer, made a little cameo, Haven Pendergast. This has been the Schmoedown Countdown. Leave your comments, leave your likes. Thank you very much. Follow Jack of All Trivia.